So continuing with the lateral column, today we will discuss the spinothalamic tract. Fibers, it is also called spinal laminiscus. So whenever a question is asked about spinal laminiscus, it means they are asking the spinothalamic and vice versa. So they are present in the lateral column of the spinal cord. As we have made the spinal cord, the first fasciculus gracilis, posterior column, this is fasciculus cuneatus, and then we make the posterior horn, conical, and then the ventral horn, anteriorly or ventrally, which is broad, with the central canal containing CSF, and this is the line showing the lateral column, the anterior column or funiculus, and bilateral symmetrical part. This is how to make the, first of all, the diagram of the. So here are present many of the, this is the lateral column. So it contains many ascending and descending fibers. And out of this, we have already done one, the posterior spinocerebellar. We have done anterior spinocerebellar. Now today we will take the spinothalamic. So spinothalamic, they are two in number. One is called the lateral spinothalamic, and another is called anterior or the ventral spinothalamic. So as they are bilateral symmetrical, so we have to make both of them same way. So there are two types of the spinothalamic. One is called the lateral spinothalamic tract or fibers, and second one is anterior or also called ventral spinothalamic tract. So this is the lateral spinothalamic and this is the anterior spinothalamic tract. Now as we have already discussed, any question of the spinothalamic or any tract comes, we have to make the headings and subheadings. So name is suggestive. Spinothalamic means they start from the spinal cord and they are going to the thalamus. It means these types. So which type of the fibers they are? Ascending fibers. So name is suggestive. Name will tell you that whether they are ascending and descending. If they are ascending, it means they are taking some information from periphery to the brain. So they are going up to give something to the brain. So if they are ascending, it means they are functionally, so their function will be sensory. Now if they are sensory, Now the question arises, which type of these sensations they are taking. So sensations. And for the sensation we have to trace the fibers from the tract to the periphery. And when we do the dissection and when we find that from where these fibers they are starting, they will give the answer that from where they are start. So the sensations, they are picking from the, because they are, sensation means S for S. So they start from the axon will start, or the nerve will start from the skin of the human body from head to toe. And we know the sensations in the skin picked by these spinal lemniscus fibers, they are the general sensations. General sensations of the body. What are the general sensations? I have already told you PT and PT. Remember PT. In the school you have done PT so many times. So PT and PT. So pain, temperature, pressure, and touch. So crude touch. So these are the four general sensations of the human body from head to toe. Our skin is sensitive to pain, temperature, pressure, and touch. So temperature means cold and hot. So whenever there is a cold, we feel the cold. Our skin feel it. When there is a summer, there is a hot air, our skin feel it. So these are the general sensations, they are present in the dermis of the skin. So these are the four modalities of the general sensations which are picked by the spinothalamic tract. So after giving these headings and subheadings, now next heading comes the course of these tract. You have to write the course. As they are sensory, so it is a rule that these sensations, they will go into 3 steps. So this 3-step course is there by the first order neuron, second order and third order neurons. So first we will discuss about the first order neuron. Before going into the 3 steps, now again question arises, if there are 4 type of the sensations, why there are 2, lateral and anterior? Same question. So the answer is the lateral corticospinal tract, spinothalamic tract. Out of these 4, it picks it is related to first, that is the temperature and pressure. So temperature and pressure, they are under the lateral spinothalamic, while the anterior ventral spinothalamic will pick the crude touch and the pressure. So in this way, because of the different modalities of the pain, temperature, pressure and touch, we divide these 2 tracts. Now we will take one by one. First is what is the first order neuron? As usual, first order neuron will start from the skin. It will start from the dermis of the skin, because dermis of the skin contains free nerve endings for the pain, Pacinian corpuscles for the pressure, and for temperature, cold and hot, and the crude touch. So all these receptors, they are present in the dermis. So the axon will start from the dermis of the skin, and then this nerve is the first order neuron. It will go as a 31 pairs of the spinal nerve, but first it goes to the dorsal root ganglion. So this is how we have to write down under the first order neuron. The nerve ending starting the receptors in the dermis, and the first order neuron carrying these sensations reach the dorsal root ganglion, and then other projection of the nerve will go into the posterior horn, because posterior horn is functionally sensory. So all these sensations of the human body, they will enter from the posterior horn. Now they reach the tip of the posterior horn. Here, this nerve, first order neuron, will divide into many ascending and descending fibers. Many ascending and descending fibers, they divide at this point. And at this tip, where the ascending and descending fibers they divide, this area is called the tract of Lucier. So tract of Lucier is formed because of the ascending and descending fibers of the both lateral as well as the anterior as well as the lateral spinothalamic tract. After that, these nerve endings, they will go 1 or 2 steps or spinal segment up or 1 or 2 below. So that is in the tract of the lizard. So in the tract of the lizard, they may go 2-3 steps up or 2-3 steps down, the spinal segment. Then next, the nerve fibers of the lateral spinothalamic tracts, they relay in the substantia gelatinosa of Rolando. So this is the substantia gelatinosa. So in the substantia gelatinosa of the posterior horn, these neurons, they relay, and after the relay, second order neuron now start. The second order neuron start. So next heading you will make second order neuron. Now as the rule, second order neurons, they cross. So naturally they also cross to the opposite side. They go into the gray commissure, and then they go into the white commissure, and pain and temperature, they ascend in the lateral corticospinal tract, spinothalamic tract. So first of all, fibers of the temperature receptors from the dermis, they cross anterior to the central canal. So there is a definite sequence of the fibers which are crossing. So first of all, anterior to the central canal comes the fibers which carry the temperature, that is the cold and the hot receptors from the dermis, and they go to the opposite side into the lateral corticospinal tract, and then they ascend upward because they are ascending fibers. Second modality comes is the pain. Then the pain fibers, they go into the same way and they ascend in the lateral corticospinal into the spinothalamic tract. They are going upward. After that, The next fibers will go to the crude touch. They go into the anterior spinothalamic tract, and they also ascend upward into the spinal cord as the anterior spinothalamic fibers. And the last fibers are the pressure. And pressure fibers, they also ascend in the anterior spinothalamic tract. Same is happening on the opposite side. And the fibers, they are crossing and going to the opposite side. Pain and temperature in the lateral, and the touch and pressure in the anterior. So their crossing of the fibers occurs here, anterior to the central canal. So this is how we show with the diagram that how the lateral and the anterior spinothalamic tract is formed. Now the second order neurons, they cross and they ascend on the opposite side of the tract, because the lateral corticospinothalamic tract lies medial to the anterior spinocerebellar, while the anterior spinothalamic tract, it lies anterior to the ventral horn. So that is the position. So now these fibers from the spinal cord, now they have to reach their destination, so they further ascend. So they further goes upward. So from the spinal cord, now they reaches the brain. And which part of the brain come first of all? The medulla oblongata. Now these fibers from the lateral as well as from the anterior spinothalamic tract, when they are second order neurons, then when they ascend upward, now they are close together. And these second order neurons which are closing together, now they are named as spinal laminiscus. Now their name changes. Why? Because they are now closer, so they are called the spinal laminiscus is formed. Now these spinal laminiscus fibers, now they are going upward and they enter into the medulla. Pain, temperature, pressure and touch. From medulla, now they go next to the pons. They enter into the pons. And next to the pons, now they go into the midbrain. That is the spinal lemniscus. So they also cross the midbrain, because next who is waiting? Name is spinothalamic. So they have to go to the thalamus, And as we know, thalamus is the sensory relay station. Thalamus is the sensory relay station. The other name of thalamus is sensory relay station. What do you mean by the sensory relay station? Means all type of the sensations of the human body, general as well as special, except the smell. Except the smell has to pass through the thalamus to reach the conscious level of the brain. To reach the conscious level of the brain, these has to pass through the various nuclei of the thalamus, then they will reach this cerebrum, the conscious level. So that's why it's called the sensory. So it receive it and then it throw it to the by the third order neurons. So they reach the thalamus, which is the part of the diencephalon, and out of so many nuclei are there, but you should never forget only one nucleus, that is the VPL nucleus, ventro-posterolateral nucleus. So they relay in the ventro-posterolateral nucleus. Now general sensations now reach the thalamus. So in the thalamus there occurs the relay, and now third order neurons they start. So thalamus is the relay station. So here occurs the relay, and from here the third order neurons they start. This is the third order. This is the second order coming and relaying with the grey matter of the thalamus. This is the VPL nucleus of the thalamus, and this is the third order neurons they start. So that is the relay. As in the Olympics and Asia there is a relay race. Torch is given to the one runner, then it hand over to the next. So it is like that. That's why its name is sensory relay station. So whenever a word thalamus comes, second word should automatically comes in your mind. The sensory, three words, sensory relay station. So now these third order neurons start from the thalamus, and then now they go into the posterior limb of the internal capsule, which is lying very, very close to the thalamus. Posterior limb. And from the posterior limb of the thalamus, now these third order neurons they further ascend. Now they go to the corona radiata of the cerebrum, post central gyrus, which is homunculus. This is the coronal section of the post central gyrus. So post central gyrus is the coronal section, and it is represented. Homunculus means it starts from the head, neck, the upper limb, thorax, abdomen, and the lower limb on the medial side. As we know, corona radiata fibers they are already coming. Cortico-spinal fibers are already coming down the motor pathways. So with these descending fibers, these ascending fibers they also go. So the post-central gyrus is representing the skin of the human body from head to toe, from head to foot, perineum, and leg. So whole of the body, so postcentral gyrus is representing skin. Skin of the human body from head to toe. So starting from the head to toe, all the fibers now reach their destination. So this is called the that is called the spinothalamic tract. So when they reach the cerebrum, the conscious level of the brain, then we feel these four type of the general sensations of the skin on the human body. So this is how we describe or discuss both the lateral as well as the anterior spinothalamic tracts in the stepwise first order, second order, third order. You have to write down an essay about them. You have to full detail that how the journey start from the dermis of the skin and how is this journey end with the coronary data to the post-central gyrus. So after finishing with the course, now last part we have to finish is the applied of the spinal lamniscus. In the applied anatomy, is the Syringomyelia. So Syringomyelia is a disease in which there is a destruction of the central canal of the spinal cord. The spinal cord's central canal is destroyed due to some disease. It may be congenital. So due to the destruction of the central canal, what happens? Central canal start dilating or increasing in size. So whenever this occurs, first of all, the pain fibers, temperature fibers, which are lying very in the close vicinity of the central canal, they are pressed. And due to the pressure, patient come with the complaint of loss of the temperature. He or she will say that whenever the skin is touched by the ice cube, he doesn't feel it. Or if skin is touched by the flame of the candle, doesn't feel it. No cold and the hot sensation they are felt means there is a temperature loss. And when the destruction further occurs, now the next fibers we know they are the pain. Now the patient comes with the second time another complaint. What is the complaint now? There is no pain sensation felt. Whether you cut by a knife or a blade, patient doesn't feel the pain. It means there is a loss of pain is there. It means second type of the fibers, they are now involved in the syringomyelia. So every time patient comes with the different complaint. So this is also called dissociation anesthesia. Dissociation anesthesia. And this is bilateral. Why bilateral? Because anterior to the central canal, both right and left side of the spinothalamic tract they cross. So at the same level, patient feel the loss of the pain and temperature sensations. Now another condition related is the Brown-Sequard syndrome or hemisection of the spinal cord. In the hemisection. In the hemisection, what happens? As we know, half of the spinal cord is cut by accidental injury, right side or left side. Half cut is there. So in this case, what happens? We know the pain, spinothalamic tract coming from the site of the lesion, they enter and they cross the midline and they ascend upward on the opposite side. Same on this side, they come and they ascend on the upper side. But this side is cut. So below the lesion, there is a no loss of the pain, temperature, pressure and touch by on the same side. No anesthesia. Anesthesia means loss of sensations. So patient has got no loss on the same side, but on the opposite side, because the pain, temperature, pressure and fibers, they have to cross the central canal and then they have to ascend upward, but they are now cut here. So on the opposite side of the lesion, there is a sensory loss. There is a sensory loss. And at the site of the lesion, as the fibers they are coming here, they have to go to the opposite side, but they are cut. And at the site of the lesion, these four types of sensation, they have to come and they have to cross and then they have to ascend, they are also lost. So at the site of the lesion, there will be bilateral sensory loss. Loss will be bisensory. And patient feel a band-like sensations of the sensory loss. Band-like. That somebody has tied with some rope. Because there is a bilateral strip of the loss of the pain, temperature, pressure and touch at the level of the lesion. So this type of the sensation patient feel. If this dilatation further progresses, the central canal further enlarges, and if it involves whole of this ventral horn and here, so if there is a dilatation is so damaged, now we know here lies the one very important bundle of the nerve fibers, the lateral corticospinal fibers. So lateral corticospinal fibers, they are also damaged by the Syringomyelia. And with this damage, what will happen? Patient feel the bilateral loss of the muscle contraction, that is the bilateral paralysis. If it involves the lumbar region, so patient come with the paraplegia. And if this occurs in the cervical region, then patient come with the quadriplegia may be there. So paraplegia or quadriplegia patient may present. Due to the involvement of the corticospinal tract. And that is also bilateral, both the side. So there is a loss of muscle contraction. So this is how we finish with the spinal lemniscus. So whenever a question of the spinal lemniscus comes, you have to give the full detail of the course and everything. Thank you.